So right now I am going to go to the south side of Chicago, pretty much the worst place you could be in perhaps America when it comes to danger and crime and poverty. And we're gonna go and drive around for a while and see what we can find and show everybody what it's like here. Chicago, a city with super wealthy and safe suburbs, really awesome fun but dangerous downtown, and of course some of the worst neighborhoods in the whole country. Everyone's heard of the infamous south side of Chicago, where you have shootings and murders and poverty and ghetto and crime. It really is a terrible place in many areas, and certainly somewhere you wouldn't want to go, much less move to. Southside has many really bad areas. If I'm going to go there, it's going to be the worst of all areas, right? So I ventured into places like Harvey, Englewood, Fuller Park, Chicago Heights, and Ford Heights to show you what they look like and talk about why they are the way they are and discuss solutions and talk about how really bad these places are, right? This was going to be my one and only time here, and actually it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was during the day. I didn't feel in danger. It was kind of empty. Nobody really paid much attention to me. It wasn't really that run down, but of course, after hours, this place is a circus. We'll begin in Harvey. Now, if you're familiar with Chicago, the area I went here in Harvey is around 153rd Street and Broadway generally, and just kind of meander around through the heart of the worst part of Harvey. The South Side is known for murders and shootings and gangs. They don't measure shootings by year or by month in places like this. They're measured by the weekend. Last year in Chicago, there were almost 800 murders, and in Cook County, there were like 875 people who were killed by gunfire. It's not getting any better either. Last year in Chicago was the worst year ever for murders and gunfire. Shootings here were up by 50% last year, just like they are in many other inner cities in this country. There were 3,700 shootings in Chicago last year, which is more than 10 a day, and those are the ones that are reported. Of course, there's many more shootings and much more gunfire than the ones that are called into the cops. People are getting carjacked here all the time. And a lot of this madness is happening here on the south side of town. In fact, it was down here in Harvey where the first person in the Chicago area was killed this year, just 12 minutes after midnight on New Year's morning. In Harvey, they shoot at the cops. They'd probably shoot at me too if they felt like it. I mean, I'm just driving around here. Every 4 days, a cop gets shot at that they know of. Average residents have a 1 in 84 chance of being the victim of a murder, a shooting, an assault, or a rape. This is the deadliest place you can live in suburban Chicago, where murders happen every other week and somebody gets shot at every night. Now, sometimes there's going to be spikes in shootings when new gangs move into town, but the Chicago Police Department says that's not what's happening. They're just unrelated and random. But apparently, it's a loss of cops that's played a big part in the spike of crime here in the south side of Chicago. They laid off a bunch of cops because of a budget shortfall and because they held a lot of money back during negotiations. So they didn't have a lot of money, so they had to lay cops off. And a bunch of other cops retired too. You can't blame them. So yet again, we have proof that defunding the police has huge negative repercussions. And all those Chicago cops that quit, I mean, can you really blame them? Even the Chicago Tribune acknowledged less cops on the south side of Chicago is a bad idea. Of course, having less cops on the streets makes it look like the criminals can do whatever they want. And it also means when you're not paying cops enough and you're laying them off, the officers are going to have a low morale and they're not going to want to go out and work hard for a city that they don't think has their back. So even more cops quit. One city leader said that he thought the criminals looked at the layoffs and they were like, we can do whatever we want. I mean, if you think you're going to get caught, you won't commit a crime. And if you think that you're going to get caught, it'll make you think twice about what you're going to do that night. They've even tried to change laws here so you can't sell alcohol after midnight to try to slow down all the violence. Well, the clubs didn't like that because they're losing money. Too bad, club owners. You're where a lot of the violence starts. So cut off the booze at midnight. Do whatever you have to do. They need to do something here. So now we're going to go to another really bad part of the south side of Chicago, Englewood. Now, Harvey's a city, but Englewood's actually a neighborhood. Now, the population here in Englewood has gone down a lot. This neighborhood used to have 100,000 people in 1960, and now there's only about 30,000 people here, and you can understand why. I mean, there's as much violence here in Englewood as anywhere else in Chicago. Many people call Englewood the murder capital of Chicago. Now, when you drive around Englewood, it seems like every 10 minutes you hear a siren from a cop car or an ambulance. This is the type of place where 12-year-old kids run around at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, just without their parents around, just doing whatever they want. Englewood is wide awake at 2 a.m., and you can imagine what happens here all night long. I mean, if you're not locked inside your house after the sun goes down here, then you're risking your life in Englewood. But it's Englewood, that's what they say when you ask them about all the crime and the violence here. That's just how it is. Maybe one day these communities will wake up and realize how they voted impacted them, and their generational decisions have got them where they are now, but probably not. I don't think they're ever going to change their ways. Now, folks in this community say the same thing they always say. It's going to take an army to change this place. Cops, street outreach workers, faith leaders, the courts, community organizations, school teachers, and residents all working together. But they're going to need buy-in from the punks who live here, who live to shoot guns and cause chaos. And I don't think they're going to change. I don't think all the faith leaders and teachers and cops and community organizations are really going to have an impact on them. I think they're just going to do whatever they want. It kind of seems to be getting worse, too.
These are the areas that pretty much they're like, I mean, I hate saying this, but for a lot of people here, they're no-go zones. There's people that are really adventurous, and there's like donut shops, like old-fashioned donuts down on the south side, and little enclaves here and there where there's cool things happening. People are trying to make an effort to like turn these neighborhoods around. But for most people, including myself, I never go to the south side because there's no reason for me to be there. And they've historically been redlined, which happens in a lot of cities, which they were cut off from development, from investment. And it's kind of created a situation where people there have no hope. And, you know, the street culture, drugs, and street life kind of take over and set the dominant tone of culture for these areas.
So how bad is it down there on the south end? What do you hear about, like, in terms of crime and drugs and poverty and stuff?
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, like, if you hear about like a little kid getting shot, that's usually where it happens. If you hear about like a triple shooting at a party, that's what's going on. There's large groups of people congregating like in Airbnbs. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's like lawless, but like the way things have been with, you know, the defunding the police movement in the past year, cops kind of take like a more of a, I don't know, like a less of a hands-on approach in some of these areas. And the mayor's trying to, I don't know, she's talking about passing some law right now where you're not allowed to chase, cops aren't allowed to chase like suspects at all because of, you know, all the attention on police and, you know, people getting killed. You know, you really have to be conscious of where you are and who's around you, especially in those areas. And if you have no business there, like you stick out. You know, like you know, if you're not buying drugs or, you know, you don't belong in the neighborhood, like in certain areas, they know you don't belong and, you know, you'll be a crime of opportunity. That's how all these crimes happen, like victims of opportunity.
So basically what the mayor of Chicago is going to do, if she had her way, is if a cop pulls over somebody or says, hey, come here, I know you stole something, or I know you have a gun, and they run, they can't chase them.
There's talk. I'm not sure how far that's gotten, but, you know, it seems like she's trying to please both sides. You know, she's on the superintendent side, Superintendent Brown, the police, and she is trying to, like, take the stance of, like, oh, okay, like, we're going to, like, do something about these police. And a lot of it just seems like it's political maneuvering. I don't know, like, how far that's going to get. I know, like, the main concern for most people living here, just about everyone that I talk to, is crime. You know, personal safety. And, you know, I feel like a lot of these leaders, like these mayors in these towns, they just want to keep their jobs. You know, they just want to kind of appease both sides. They just want to keep their jobs. A lot of people are pretty upset with her. And I don't know, she just talks out of both sides of her mouth. And they say that the crime's going down, but I don't think it is. Like, I look at the crime stats and they can massage them and make them say certain things, but I don't think the crime's going down. So something should be done.
No, it's not going down. It's going up. Yeah. I mean, is there a solution? If you were in charge of fixing the problems with the Chicago bad areas, What would you do?
Well, like these are areas that have been historically, disinvested economically, and and you could go back and forth why those reasons are. You could point at like the riots back in the '60s when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there's areas in the city that still haven't been rebuilt from that time. There it requires money, like a lot of things. Like not just throwing money stupidly at like a situation, but really investing. And this is not a short-term short-term problem. Like this is something that's been neglected for generationally, and it's not going to be fixed right away. So I don't know. You have to give people hope, and you have to give people something to look forward to kind of pin their hopes on. And there's groups that are doing that. I haven't looked too much into it, but there's like investments that are happening in some of these disadvantaged areas where they're trying to get first-time homeowners to commit to living in a certain area for like a certain period of time, and you'll get like a big like tax break or like a big amount off of your home purchase. So there's people that are trying here. The people haven't given up, but I don't know. It takes investment, it takes care, and it takes time.
So is the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, is she liked in Chicago? I hear she's not liked,
No.
but she was elected. Is it she's done a horrible job? Is that why she's not liked?
Like it's like the past year has scrambled everybody's brain like all over the place. And I live 2 blocks away from the mayor, so they're always having protests in front of her house. It doesn't get as crazy as I see it get in other cities like in Portland, but she's got like 50 police officers on her private security detail or something crazy like that. And there's like a police officer shortage. So she's using all these police officers to protect her home and protect herself. A lot of people don't like her because of the cop thing. They think she's not doing enough to protect people from the cops. A lot of people think she's not doing enough for the cops. So I don't know. She's just getting it from all sides. She's not popular right now. I don't know very many people that will defend her in public. And yeah, I don't know. She's just trying to hold on to her job. That, like I said, a couple blocks away she lives, and there's protests all the time in front of her house.
Are you going to stick around in Chicago, or are you out of there when you have an opportunity?
We have had this conversation, me and my wife, and the main thing that kept me here, like I have a good paying job, and I'm in a union that has benefits, pension, and it's a rare opportunity. I didn't think I would get it, and like I really lucked out getting this job. So if it wasn't for that, I probably would have already left. But there's a trade-off. Like you pay like such a high cost to live here. The taxes are high, some of the highest in the nation. Property taxes are high. We just bought a home. So and then the trade-off with the personal safety. So like it enters my mind. Now what I came across your channel because I was like, well, what else is going on in this crazy country? And I just kind of get a peek into other areas of the country, and I think about it. And we haven't made concrete plans yet. We just bought our home like not even 2 years ago, so we have to pay off a certain amount before we incur those capital gains taxes. We can't really sell right now without losing money. So it's a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. High taxes, high crime. Not a good combination for Chicago. Now we're going to move on to 2 more areas on the south side of Chicago. This is Fuller Park, another Chicago neighborhood known for extreme crime, poverty, and violence, located just south of where the White Sox play. The last part of Chicago's South Side worth visiting is the infamous O Block, where the most dangerous intersection in the whole city is. It's on the corner of 64th Street and MLK Boulevard. Michelle Obama's from this hood, as are many Chicago rappers. Now, this is the kind of place where gangs just hang out on porches or in the road, and where kids wander around all day instead of being in class. Moms have to watch their backs while getting the kids in and out of the car. They've tried knocking down run-down apartments and housing projects in this area, and they've tried to convince younger kids to stay out of trouble. Cops even monitor the social media accounts of gangs to see if they can stop threats from leaving Twitter and becoming a reality on these streets, but that usually doesn't work either. They also try pouring more cops onto these streets, but that usually backfires. On the left is the O Block, the public housing complex where most of this crime is centered. This is a terrible place. O Block. Hey guys, so if anything I just talked about upset you or made you sad or mad, well then do something about it. Call your local leaders and demand change. Chip in and help those in need. Make your community better, because communities don't get better without hard work and determination. America's a great place. It just needs some more love and pride.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.
And are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. You can get my email in the description to find out how I can help you find your perfect relocation.